Good evening. I'd like to call to order this special town council meeting for Wednesday, October 9, 2019. Please rise for a moment of silence. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Fishbein.
Here.
Laffin.
Here.
Letourneau. Maroon.
Here.
Morgenstein. Here. Shortell. Testa.
Here.
Zandri.
Here.
And Chairman Cervoni.
Here. Councilor Shortell did advise me that he is traveling for work. On to item 3, the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve or accept consent agenda items A through I.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda passes. On to item 4. I am aware of no items removed from the consent agenda. On to item 5, the public question and answer period. There being none, I close the public question and answer period and move on to item 6.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve a budget amendment in the amount of $44,000 for the Water to Sewer Division from the Return to Earnings account, $7,000 to the maintenance of the water treatment equipment, and $37,000 to the electric pumping equipment accounts.
That's $44,000 from retained earnings, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Amwake, this is your meeting. Please come on down.
Good evening. So this is a budget amendment request for the Pistapog raw water pumps. So at the Pistapog Reservoir, we have 4 raw water pumps that pump water uphill to the Pistapog Water Treatment Plant. Beginning in July 2019, Water Division staff detected operational issues with raw water pump number 2. Staff was unable to troubleshoot it, so we brought in a contractor to assist with us, and they discovered that there is galvanic corrosion, which caused one shaft coupling to split. So the budget amendment in front of you is for $44,000 that to repair and replace 2 pumps, and I'll get into that in a minute, is $20,000 each, and we've included a 10% contingency. So there are 4 pumps. When we looked at our runtime hours, they were all nearly equal because we run them in a series. They've been installed since 1993 when the Pistapog raw water pump station and the treatment plant came online. So our plan is to repair and replace the components for raw water pump number 2, as well as raw water pump number 1 this year. And then in fiscal year 2021, we will then carry another $44,000 in our capital budget to repair and replace the components as needed for raw water pump number 3 and raw water pump number 4.
And the quiet gentleman sitting to your left is Mr. Hendershot, right? Okay. Questions for Water Division? Councilor Morgenstein?
Thank you. Yeah, so you answered my question by stating the age. And is this an average life expectancy for these pumps?
It's hard to say because it really depends on how hard you run them, how often you run them. So we do have 4 pumps. We run them in series. It also depends on how much our water demand is. So it's at this point, it's with the galvanic corrosion, that's what's really causing the problem. So it's slight stray electrical currents running across the pump and the couplings, which is typical for a water environment like this.
So at 26 years old, to me, any mechanical device, that sounds about right. And certainly moving forward to do the other 2 makes sense as well. Any idea that as you're shopping around for replacements, there's such a thing as warranties, or, as you're looking at choosing how you're going to replace this, any kind of variation in what you would?
So this really is a specialty, and like I said, our staff spent close to 8 weeks trying to troubleshoot it themselves. Most of the repairs and maintenance items at both the water division and the sewer division are handled by our in-house staff. Generally, any work we do through the public sector comes with a 1-year warranty.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
So when you say you run them in series, does that mean the water runs through all 4 pumps?
No, so we run 1 pump for a certain amount of set hours, then we rotate to pump 3, then we rotate to pump 2, and then we rotate to pump 4. So 1 and 2 are in pair, 3 and 4 are in pair. So if we have a very large water demand, or say we have a fire in the downtown district, both 1 and 2 would run together, and then we'd switch to 3 and 4.
Thank you for explaining that. Any other questions from the council? Questions from the public? There being none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Fishbein,
Yes.
Laffin,
Yes.
Marone,
Yes.
Morgenstein,
Yes.
Testa.
Yes.
Zandri,
Yes.
Chairman Savoni.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Yes, it does. Thank you. On to item 7.
I move we approve the request to utilize the qualifications-based selection for engineering studies at Yulebrook Reservoir Dam.
Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Marone. Why not out to bid?
So we actually did go out to bid already on this project. So let me back up as to what we're looking at the Yulebrook Reservoir Dam. So the Yulebrook Reservoir Dam is one of 4 water supply reservoirs that the town and the water division enjoy. Per the 2016 regulatory inspection, one of the recommendations from that was for the water division to undertake a stability and seepage analysis on the earthen embankment dam. In addition to that, the water division is interested in evaluating if we can raise the water surface elevation in the reservoir 2 to 4 feet approximately. The reason for that is to provide us with additional storage. So we pump water from the Mackenzie Reservoir up to the Yulebrook Reservoir. We soon will have stream flow regulations coming into play, which means that we will have to release more water from Mackenzie Reservoir throughout the year. So when it rains and we have water in Mackenzie, we want to be able to pump it up into Yulebrook. What we're basically evaluating is can we create a larger bathtub to store more water in Yulebrook? That's kind of a poor analogy. Part of that is 3 engineering studies, is the seepage and stability analysis. So we're going to look at the horizontal and the vertical forces on the earthen embankment dam, as well as the water and soil interface within the dam. The second aspect is a hydraulic and hydrologic study. That is how much water we can move through the spillway. And the third analysis we want to take a look at is the low-level outlet evaluation. So the low-level outlet is traditionally at the bottom of your reservoir, and then it allows you to remove water from the bottom of the reservoir should you ever need to drain it. So there are 3 aspects to this engineering study. To answer your question, we originally did go out to bid last year. We got 7 respondents. We used what the town commonly refers to as a Part A and a Part B analysis. So the Part A is on the technical, and then the Part B is on financial, and then we put them together and get a master score. The firm with the lowest technical score also had the lowest financial score. We took a step back and we really said, this is a specialty project. This is a unique project. Because of that nature, we want to look at the most qualified firm first rather than have financials come into play. One of the aspects we will be doing is 3 or 4 geotechnical borings through the center of an earthen embankment dam. It's akin to putting a hollow point needle through a heart. So anyone can put a hollow point needle through a heart, but what happens when you withdraw it and you have to start stitching up that portions of the heart? So because of that, we are asking to go back out with a qualifications-based selection due to the unique nature of the engineering studies, as well as we want to err on the side of safety. It's a large dam. It's a Class C dam, which is the highest ranked hazard dam per the DEEP. So we want the best firm.
Thank you. Questions from the council? Councilor Zandri.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear. We're not going back to, you said you had 7. So you're not going back to those 7 and picking a different one based on their qualifications. You're actually submitting another request for proposal and getting them all back. Now, if you do that, would you be coming back to us at that point, or is this just something you're going to execute?
No, this is something we're going to execute. And, when we originally put the original RFP out, for both qualifications and pricing, this is a unique question. So we really posed it as a question to the engineering firms is, we're looking to raise the water surface elevation 2 to 4 feet. How would you go about it? So now we have 7 proposals. What we did is we took our original request for services, tweaked it a little bit, added a few things that, we might have missed or felt we didn't need, and then we'll go back with an entirely new request. And, through the purchasing portal, all 7 firms will be advised that this is now out on the market, but we're basically going out for a new response.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to get a good understanding of is, because I'm the one that's really the fussy one up here about bids. So I understand exactly why you took the results you got and said, you know what, we have concerns, and I'm comfortable with that. My concern would be, I would almost feel better if you said from these 7, we're going to go with number 3, who's maybe X number of dollars higher. That way I'd be able to digest that and feel like, all right, well, it's more than we should be spending based on just plain old numbers, but if we're looking at the depth of skill needed, maybe it's worth the extra money, we'll get what we pay for. But
if I could?
Yeah, go ahead.
The process won't allow that. We did a 2-part bid the first time. We didn't like the results of that. We let them expire. Now we're starting from scratch with a new process. And that process is, if approved, the qualification-based selection process.
So again,
it's not fair to the bidders. They were bidding in a 2-part bid sandbox, and now we've changed the sandbox.
right, no, and so that part I
We
get.
can't use their bids again. We have
Right.
to start all over and do it again.
So they may come back because the qualifications of the way you outline it changed. All the bids would probably come back different, I suppose, if they estimate different types of work. But just to make it simple, you don't want to pick number 7. And do we really want to pick number 1? Are we getting the value out of number 1? I mean, I'm talking about the stack ranking of how expensive they are. So I don't know. I guess I'm asking, what's the check and balance from here?
Well, Neil can point this out.
So we do have $75,000 already allocated in the capital budget for the water division. Based on the Part B financials submitted, we would be within that $75,000 already allocated.
So are you saying that the most this would be $75,000? Is that what you're saying, or?
We would have to come back to the Public Utilities Commission and the Town Council if we went above that.
And
Okay.
we would note, and I think this was provided in your backup,
Yeah.
the 2 highest technical scores were under the number he just mentioned and were within $500 of each other.
Right, but you're talking about changing the parameters now, so it could flux up, but.
Correct, but it's the same dam and the same things we'd like to do to it. It's not going to change radically. It's not a completely different scope of work. It's a somewhat different scope
Okay,
of work.
so just to make me feel better, it likely won't go over 75,000 hypothetically, but if it did, you'd have to come back to us anyway.
Correct.
That's a good enough check and balance for me.
Correct.
Because we already knew about the 75,000, so if it has to go over that, you'd have to come back and say, we're off by $5,000 or whatever, and then we would know. That's fine. To me, that's a check and balance, and I'm good with it.
All set, Counselor Fishbein?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, gentlemen. So just looking at the numbers, so first of all, when we do a public bid, like low bidder, do we do technical scoring for all of those, or is this sort of like a hybrid?
If we do the two-part bid, I think is exactly the term of art used in the purchasing ordinance, then it's done this way. With the
Yeah, okay,
technical
so it's-
score and that the bidding entity scores, and then the financial scores, and in this case, the water division would not see those numbers. They would be kept at purchasing until the technical evaluation were finished.
Yeah, so it has components of low bid, it has components of RFP, so it's sort of like
Correct.
a mixture.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to look at that chart, because when I look at the, the technical score for, the lowest technical score is a 29.36 for firm F, right? And their cost is 31,000 in conjunction with that. The next one up from there, if you could help me there, that would be the 3423. No, it'd be the 3370, which jumps up to $73,000.
Firm E had the second lowest cost.
Yes, but I'm looking at the technical score, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
Because the representation is I thought it was the two lowest technical scores had the two lowest prices.
No.
Okay, what is it then?
So it's the highest technical score
Okay,
and the lowest cost score.
okay, and that's what you're striving for, correct?
That is just how the parameters of a two-part bid are written.
Yeah, okay. So what jumped out at me was we have a very low technical score for firm D. We compare firm D to firm F, right? So firm F, the technical score is 29.36. And
Firm E, you mean? I'm sorry, F, you're right, I'm sorry.
yes, F, 29.36 with a cost of 31,000. Firm D is slightly higher, 33.7, yet their price is more than double. Why? Do we know why? I mean, because that just like jumps off the page because everybody else is lower. So they didn't understand what they were bidding on?
No, quite frankly, firm F tried to buy the job. Let's just cut to the chase here. Firm
Okay.
F, basically their costs were all sub-consultant costs. They included minimal dollars for their own cost. They were trying to win this job so then they can market this to other firms. You can't do this for $31,000. I came from consulting. I can back into these numbers. We actually did back into these numbers. There's 4 cost elements to this project. $31,000 is arbitrarily too low.
Okay, so then why, and I think in the past, that decision was made administratively, there's something wrong with this, buying the job, we're just gonna reject. Do you have that ability through this process?
We simply let the bids expire.
Okay, but do you have the ability to reject based upon the position that it just can't be a good number?
They'd have to come to you for that.
Okay, and they chose
So,
to
that-
do
so
that.
they, so you can, you can come to the council and say, we don't have confidence in this bid for X, Y, and Z reason, we want to go to the next one. And the council would make that decision with the recommendation of the purchasing agent. Here, because it's such a highly technical consulting service that they're looking for, they made the decision, they want to see new proposals from whoever is out there who's qualified to be there.
But
So-
they made that determination after they had already tested the waters. So at the point that this originally went out as a two-part bid, they didn't think an RFP was appropriate. That was the determination.
Well, it's not a question whether it's not appropriate. This is one of the options that you have,
Yeah, so ultimately, you could have come to us and said, we got a problem with this bid, will you allow us to go to the next one? Because I'm looking at firm E. Decent technical score from my perspective, looking at the other ones, 42.10. So just to put that into perspective, I think it's the third highest on the scale out of the 7. Price is 52 grand, right?
well, you'd have to go to the next one. You can't just skip around.
Well,
I mean, normally, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna say, we don't have confidence in the lowest bidder, I don't recall ever a situation where the conversation was whether to go to the next highest bidder, not let's shop around out of the ones that we have.
And the way the
Wait
two-part.
a second. With that statement just in the air, they are the next lowest bidder.
I thought A was, I'm sorry, am I wrong?
No, 52,650. So do you,
That's,
No, you gotta go to the composite score.
if I'm looking at the cost.
No, you gotta look
So
at the final
They have to
score.
look at the
You can't-
composite score. They can't look at the things separately.
No, the composite score are the two combined.
I understand.
Okay, so F was the low bidder, and the next one is A. Am I
Based
missing
upon-
something? I think I'm doing that right, aren't I?
Based
Correct.
upon the
We-
composite score. So
Correct.
are you bound by the composite
Yes,
score?
you are, yes, you are. That's why they're looking to do it differently this time, because the whole point of the two-part bid is that both the technical qualifications and the cost are 50-50. So you open up the first envelope and the technical scores are made. Then after those are done, then the money is opened and they're scored. In fact, purchasing does the scoring on the money.
But that
And then the two scores are put together.
But see, that's where, who determines that it's 50-50?
That's-
That is not in our ordinance. They determine that when they
No,
put this thing
I don't have the
together.
ordinance with me.
Well, because we've had other bids that is weighted, and I can't remember specifically what it was, but it was a chart, and there were certain components that were weighted higher than others. So that's,
But that's probably within the 50%.
and who makes those determinations?
Well, when you're putting something out, I think ultimately it's a sign off by purchasing, but, let's say if I did it for hiring lawyers and we did a 2-envelope system, there's certain aspects, so I could say, okay, so this is, we're putting together the 50% on the technical side of it. I'm thinking out loud, so I'd have to check to make sure what I'm saying, but I could view, municipal experience, the quality of that to be a higher criteria than something else, closeness to Wallingford or something like that. I don't know.
Agreed.
But that's within the 50% though. It's not, it doesn't shift the 50-50.
As long as there's more than one component that comprises that 50%.
I can read you the specific components for this original bid.
I'm just trying to figure out, because we've sort of gone down this road before, I'm just trying to, are they bound by its qualifications and price, and they are equal footing? Are they
Yes,
bound by that?
using that method, using the two-part
And
bid.
is that by the ordinance, or,
I believe so. I'll have to check it. I'd have to check it.
I'm gonna check, because I don't
All right,
recall
I'll
that
check
being
too.
in there. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly. Counselor Testa? You did want to be called on, didn't you?
Yes, I did. No, I'm going to pass, thank you. I'm in favor of this. I think we should pass it. Let's get it done.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? There being none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Okay. Fishbein,
Yes.
Laffin.
Yes.
Letourneau,
Yes.
Marone,
Yes.
Morgenstein,
Yes,
Testa,
Yes.
Zandri,
Yes.
Chairman Savoni,
Yes.
and the motion passes.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to go into executive session pursuant to number 9?
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into executive session pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Section 1-206B and Section 1-225F regarding strategy and negotiations with respect to pending litigation matter of Town of Wallingford versus Matthew J. Madley.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I declare the council in executive session and ask the public to kindly clear the chambers. Thank you. I call the meeting back to order. Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of coming out of executive session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I declare the meeting in public session. Is there a motion on item 10?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the settlement as discussed in the action of the Town of Wallingford versus Matthew Madley.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Fishbein,
Yes.
Laffin.
Yes.
Letourneau,
Yes.
Marone,
Yes.
Morgenstein,
yes.
Testa,
Yes.
Zandri,
Yes.
Chairman Savoni,
Yes.
motion passes.
Yes, it does. There being no other business on the agenda, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I declare this meeting adjourned.